Laudato Si. Pagpalap na sa Laudato Si, help me welcome our invited guest speaker, no other than Archbishop Emeritus of Cagayan de Oro, Antonio Avellana Ledesma, SJDD.
Good afternoon. Since I have been introduced, I will also ask you to introduce yourself. May iba po masugda lang natin today, mga your just name, where you are based, and what you are doing now with the concerns on environment.
It's Kahumatan. Si Alito de los Santos sa Kahumatan sa Prelatura sa Marawi, magtutudlo. Naglihok po sa Laudato Si.
Thank you, Fabe. Mayang hapon, Bishop. Animator, Laudato Si animator.
Ay, manapon. Bishop Alan Caballero, gikan sa Diocese sa Pagadian, ang parokya sa Virgen sa Lourdes, San Miguel, coordinator sa Laudato Si sa Paris, membro sa Social Action sa Diocese.
Mayong hapon, Bishop. Si Bernie Durang Parang, nagtrabaho ko sa Columban, diri sa Mindanao. Ako ang na-assign sa vocation o sa mission promotion. At the same time, Laudato Si animator, kauban ni March.
May hapon, Bishop. Sa Tarita Parish, Laudato Si.
I happen Bishop, Diocese of Dipolo, Vincent Carpasa.
May hapon. Ako ay si Doroteo John Along, ikan sa Diocese of Pagadian.
May hapon, Bishop. I am Dave from Diligan Diocese.
Good afternoon, Bishop. I am Sean Ray from Bara, our Mother of Perpetual Love Parish.
Good afternoon, Bishop. I am also from Bara Youth Minister, Hirang na Hiraya, Laudato Si animator.
Bishop, may hapon kung Fabe. Laudato Si animator o member sa RONPH Coordinating Committee.
May hapon, Bishop. Donna Echalico sa Integral Ecology sa atong Archdiocese of Cagayan de Oro. Laudato Si animator yapon, nag-train last 2019.
May hapon, Bishop. Kailan na ta? Si Faith Salimbangon sa Diocese sa Iligan, sa Social Action.
May hapon, Bishop. Dolly sa ACDO, Commission on Integral Ecology.
May hapon. Ako yung mukha sa opisina.
Mayong hapon sa kanan. Yeah, so, kini man ang pagtigom ninyo, no, sa nag-ambita na yung mga kamubayan sa inyong kalihukan. So siguro kini atong ipag-ikutan lang ang mensahe man sa ating Santo Papa na ginasunod man nato sa Laudato Si ug gumayaan na karon ang Laudato Deum. Okay, I think nataga na makamukit or kunyan na i-dokumento man diya siguro. So, na hindi mga pipila ng kapuntos na ipadaya ko sa inyo, pero bago na kami nakahuman man sa retreat sa mga obispo sa Malay-Balay, ug ang topic dito ba lahin man sa Laudato Si. So, ang ipadaya nila Father Danny Pilario o ni Father Ray Raluto, nagapalaog lang sa akin yung mensahe man sa Laudato Si. Pero kamo din ang mga frontliners, kaya kamo man ang nag-aatubig sa mga katiliban, o magpadayang sa kining mensahe sa Santo Papa. No? So sundan nato din karon ang topic is care for our common home, stewards of God's gift to all generations. Actually, ang mas importante karon kay ng care for our common home, and I will explain that a bit more later. No? Pero siguro, tanaw na to it's like following see, judge, and act. Tanaw na to una ang konteksto na man na ginasunod sa Laudato Deum to see what is the actual situation now. Kay supay sa katong unang mensahe sa Laudato Si in 2015, and then karon nagpagawas sa Papa sa 2023 kining follow-up document. So it's still part of seeing, and then judging, and ang call to action na kamo na ang magkatupang yun, no? Siguro can you start now? Okay. Okay, climate change is the topic na we can go back to it now. Climate change is a global problem with great implications, environmental implications, social, economic, political, and also for the distribution of goods. So, ika na sa Laudato Si. And I think that is the main statement why nagpagawas ang Santo Papa sa kining first, maybe social encyclical on the environment. And in the past, yung mga social encyclicals were more on relationship among nations or relationship among individual human beings. Pero this one is relationship of humankind with creation, with the environment. And climate change, someone said it should not be called climate change, it should be calamity change. Pero, yeah, tuyo karon kay, in fact, some would say it should be climate crisis, hindi lang climate change. No? And the problem is aggravated by a model of development based on the intensive use of fossil fuels, which is at the heart of the worldwide energy system. Fossil fuels would mean, I guess, petroleum, gasoline that comes from the earth itself. Pero this is what is the source of energy for much of our industrial world today. So fossil fuels, we need fossil fuels, gasoline for motor cars, for airplanes, for transportation. So for transportation and the movement of humanity, traffic is a problem. But here in terms of fossil fuels, it is also a creator of global warming. Maybe we'll have to okay, the understanding climate change, the earth is warming, and that is the findings of scientists today. No? Next. Ito ang, maybe we can just look at this carefully. In 1880, below average temperature, the blue. So from 1880 to, you might say, mga 1940, just before the war, it was all below the average temperature today. Pero above average temperature, or you might say 1940, and it is a steep line going up to, you might say, 2000, 2010 to 2020. So from 1880 to 2007, that is the, you might say, the statement of scientists. Ang global temperature, the average 13.9, but above that would be the above average temperature. All coral reefs will cease to grow and start to dissolve. once you reach a certain level. In fact, the implications of coral reefs is one, they cease to grow and start to dissolve. That coral reefs are the breeding grounds for the fish. So kung wala na mga isda, then that is also an impact on our food source, and you might say it will have social implications. Okay, so this is one kind of situation that the Holy Fathers, Laudato Deum, would say that this is no longer debatable. In other words, some would say that climate change is just part of the imagination of some people. Pero para sa iya, this is now backed up by scientific data, and this is something that we should accept. Okay na. So climate change, again, the idea here is, where do we start? Extra heat is kept in the air by greenhouse gases produced from human activity. This is from the fossil fuels. Burning up of the forest is one. Burning up of fuel is another. So it goes up, but then some sunlight is bounced back into space, all right, but some others, some heat is released into space, some heat is naturally kept in by gases in the air, like water vapor. Less heat is able to be released into space. So the idea of global warming is there is some kind of greenhouse effect. Greenhouse in agriculture, it protects crops against the cold or against the heat or against pesticide, but the warm air is kept inside. So that is what is happening around the world itself. Climate change means that because of the greenhouse effect of the, you might say, the extra heat is kept within our atmosphere, the world is experiencing global warming. Climate change, again, this is some figures that are shown. First of all, kung may global warming, you have less snow and ice. And that is already depicted. You have seen pictures of how in the Arctic zone, the ice has already melted. And in fact now, they say there are some sea routes that can be done through the Arctic zone. And you have more droughts and wildfire. In fact, on the other hand, you have thawing of permafrost, changes in animal migration and life cycles, changing rain and snow patterns. You also have damaged corals that we have seen, rising sea levels because of the melting ice. You have warmer oceans, and higher temperatures and more heat waves, which is being experienced here only last summer. Also sa India karon, naman sila heat wave problem. And so these are changes in plant life cycle. So that is part of the whole idea of climate change, that the normal climate seasons are changing, and in a way they are growing warmer, and in a sense that also implies yung rising sea levels on the one hand, and also you might say the more droughts on the other hand. In fact, in our retreat talk that was given, one of the speakers said that by 2050, there are some areas in the Philippines that will be flooded because of the rising sea level. So that has implications for all of our communities along the shores, along the seacoast. Kung magpataas ang level, the ones affected are the ones along the coastline. Okay, extreme weather events, again, is another phenomenon that we have experienced. As the climate has warmed, some types of extreme weather have become more frequent and severe in recent decades, with increases in extreme heat, intense precipitation, and drought. So yung Typhoon Yolanda, the perfect storm that happened in right across the Visayas cutting across Tacloban. No? That was around 2013, I think. So again, later, 2 years later, the Holy Father came here also to show his solidarity for the ones affected by Typhoon Yolanda. The heat waves are longer and hotter. Heavy rains and flooding are more frequent. In a wide swing between extremes, drought too is more intense and more widespread. So again, we have experienced that to a certain extent. Periods of drought, dry season, but also periods of La Nina, heavy rain. Weather on steroids, more powerful storms. Again, idea again of increased ocean temperatures because of global warming, shifts in air currents and weather patterns, increased moisture in the atmosphere, and you might say, the idea of more powerful storms taking place. So again, Mexico today has typhoon. In other places, we also experience average of about more than 20 typhoons a year in the Philippines alone. In fact, in one recent report, Philippines is number 3 in terms of being calamity prone among the countries of the world. Okay, sa Typhoon Sendo, sinatin natin din, nearly 40,000 houses damaged, 11,000 homes were destroyed, nearly 700,000 people affected, more than about 1,000 deaths, another 1,000 in Iligan area. Yeah, the earth damage estimated mga $48 million or socio-economic loss 98 million. That is the satellite image of Typhoon Sendo at that time. Okay, this is a view of our place in Cagayan de Oro. Now we are really you might say, at the bottom of 2 mountain ranges, Kitanglad and Calatuman. And the idea there is that from mga municipalities sa northern Bukidnon, Talaca, Baongon, Libona, these are the sources of the rivers that dependently flow sa Cagayan de Oro River and also sa Iponan River. So, you have here Mantico area, El Salvador, Iligan City. And that's why Typhoon Sendong affected both Cagayan de Oro and Iligan. Again, in our retreat sa Malaybalay, we were told in Malaybalay na Bukidnon is really the source of the, I think, 7 waterways of the whole of Mindanao. And the source of 4 major river basins or watershed areas. The river of Pulangi, Grande Mindanao River flows from there, going down towards Cotabato. Tagoloan River flows down here towards Tagoloan. You have another river system that goes out, I think, towards Iligan, and so on. So in a sense, keeping intact itong dalawang forest areas of Kitanglad and Calatuman are also for our own safety. So it's not only for the good of the people of Bukidnon, but more so for the downstream community. So part of the reason also itong Cagayan de Oro River is also very narrow. That's why you have the river rafting. Pero kung dagan ang ulan, dagan ang tubig, then it suddenly rises in levels and the higher level, and that was what caused the overflooding overnight, from, I say, midnight up to the early mornings of the following day. Okay, so again, we say never again Sendo, but the more we have to prepare in terms of protecting the watershed and also the Cagayan de Oro River Basin area. Watershed refers to maybe one river watershed, but a river basin means the whole area. Actually there are several rivers that flow into Cagayan de Oro River. And that's part of the attempt of the Cagayan de Oro River Basin Management Council, of which I was a co-chairman before. But that is still continuing, mga collaboration ng mga government agencies and also the three upland municipalities of Talakag, Baungon, and Libona, or Bukidnon, because they're the ones that are really the sources of the water going down to Cagayan de Oro River. Well, that is one effect of the sudden flooding sa Cagayan de Oro River, no? The Typhoon Sendo. Ito, yung, again, before, Isla de Oro had a lot of houses, but after December 20, after the Typhoon Sendo sa December 16 to 17, it was all wiped out. No? So from here to here, nakita nyo na this was really already part of the river actually, but there was permission from the LGU for people to locate there. Okay, so these are 5 major themes sa Laudato Si, but also in Laudato Deum Dominum, and in a way, even the earlier encyclical of Pope Benedict XVI already, there were beginnings of this awareness of the environmental issue. So 5 major themes for the spiritual, moral context of our discussion on climate change. The first statement, the environment is God's gift to everyone. Gasa alang sa tanan. And that's already in Pope Benedict's Caritas in Veritate. And you can cite the first book of Genesis, the first book of the Bible. When God created everything, at the end of each day, He would say He found it very good. So it was like creation for the good of humanity. And the environment, or it is also nature's design of love and truth, and it is a mirror of God's presence in the world. Again, the idea that the first book of Revelation is not the Bible. It's really nature itself, the environment. When we look around and admire the beauty of the flowers, the trees, the animals, the insects, and all around us, that is a mirror of God's presence in the world. So, nature has a design of love and truth that should not be simply destroyed in terms of climate change. The first one, man and woman, was placed in a garden. So God saw that it was good. So again, the idea of a garden, not a jungle, not a wilderness, but a garden that is already well tended. So this is man's original innocence to be master of all other created beings. In fact, that is part of the deeper understanding today, again in our retreat talks sa Malaymalay, that we should not see ourselves as separate from creation. That even when we say that we are there to master all other created beings, parang we are still separated from other created beings. But we should see ourselves as part of creation itself. And that we cannot just disassociate ourselves from the rest of creation. So nature is usually seen as a system which can be studied, understood, and controlled. So we have sciences like biology, botany, agriculture, even the medical sciences look on the human body as something that can be studied and controlled. And so nature itself is seen as some object outside of us that we can just study and control and manipulate. On the other hand, as Laudato Si points out, if we say creation, not just nature, creation can only be understood as a gift from the outstretched hand of the Creator, the Father of all, and as a reality illuminated by the love which calls us together into universal communion. So with the eyes of faith as Christians, this is what Laudato Si tries to remind us, that we cannot just look on nature as something objective, but it is really, as mentioned here, creation is from the outstretched hand of the Father of all, or the Creator of all. And it is a reality illuminated by the love which calls us together into universal communion. Okay, so again, the idea of the whole planet. May mga videos karon sa Netflix or YouTube. You can want to, but it talks about the, one is called the story of evolution from 13 billion years, the beginning of life with the Big Bang up to the present. And it talks of about 5 periods when there was, you might say, a sudden climate change in our present world today. And one of those was the destruction of the dinosaurs. But they say the 6th climate change is not due to natural causes, it will be due to our own responsibility if we are not mindful of it. Or someone has also mentioned that we are maybe the first generation to be aware of climate change, and we might also be the last generation if we don't do anything about it. Okay, so Laudato Si again would say creation is of the order of love. God's love is the fundamental moving force in all created things. In fact, in the final spiritual exercise of St. Ignatius, for the retreatant, he is asked to precisely pray on this, that everything you see in the world today is really a reflection of God's love, and that it is the moving force in all created things. There's a story of how Cardinal Avery Dulles, who was well-known Jesuit theologian in the United States, talking about his college studies in Harvard. And at that time, he did not believe in God. But then he said, walking along the Thames, the river there, he noticed in one plant, the budding of the leaf and the flower. And suddenly struck him that this activity of nature is all over, and that it cannot just be done by any kind of human knowledge. It has to come from someone who is a creator. So that was the beginning of his own coming to believe in a God that gives us all of this in terms of creation, out of love and out of this moving force in all created things. Maybe conversely, the other way of looking at it now is if this is really what is happening, then human beings cannot just simply snuff out that creative force by massive destruction or by climate change at this time. No? We have to be also caretakers of the environment. Okay, so a single plant growing. Again, from Laudato Si, when we can see God reflected in all that exists, our hearts are moved to praise the Lord for all His creatures and to worship Him in union with them. And that is, we might say, the spirituality of St. Francis of Assisi. To see that when we see God reflected in all that exists, brother sun, sister moon, all the animals and birds. Again, our retreat speaker in Malaybalay was saying that the idea of brother sun, sister moon is not only metaphorical. we should look at it simply that we are part precisely of the whole activity of nature itself. And that even our own DNA, we share 90% of our DNA are in animals. For chimpanzees, our DNA common is 98%. So we are, and someone else has said, it's not that we have descended from the apes, but we have ascended from the apes. So we are brothers and sisters to a certain extent of all this, what we would call lower forms of life, but still we are all part of creation. So it's something for us to reflect that we are part, we are not only seen as outside of creation. Okay, that was the first statement, that nature is a gift of God. The second statement, the environment is a collective good destined for all. And this is from the Compendium of the Social Doctrine of the Church. And the idea there is that the environment is not only for a few, but it is for all of us. And all beings are interconnected in the cosmos. Again, this is a repetitive theme in Laudato Si. Pope Francis keeps stressing that we are all interconnected. We are all part of the web of life. We are all, you might say, we are not separate from the insects or the birds or the wild animals, but we are all interconnected. And therefore, the value of that biodiversity, of forests, also of the coral reefs, the biodiversity in all of nature should be preserved. And now we're beginning to understand that itong monocropping or monoculture of certain products is maybe dangerous also, because it can also be wiped out by one insect or pestilence. And in fact, biodiversity is really part of the check and balance of nature itself. So climate itself is a good to be protected. And the care for the environment, again from the social teachings, care for the environment is a common and universal duty, that of respecting a common good. It's connected. Yeah, testing. Hello. So, again, the idea of the common good, no? We talk about the good of the individual human dignity, the good of every person, but also the common good of the community itself. And then there's also the universal common good, which is the good of the whole earth or the whole globe. So here, it says care for the environment is a common and universal duty of respecting now the common good of the whole earth, the whole globe. Again, maybe the climate is a common good, belonging to all and meant for all. So again, versus climate change, again, fossil fuel or global warming can disturb the regularity of the climate, and yet we should protect also the common good. In fact, a recent movement now is social action centers, and also from the Episcopal Commission on Social Action, is to advocate that the rights of nature, that nature itself has rights. It's not only human beings that have rights. So nature itself, animals, flowers, plants, they also, you might say, have rights of nature, and we should respect that. So the natural environment is a collective good, the patrimony of all humanity, and the responsibility of everyone. So again, the idea that it's good for everyone, not only for a few. And you might say destructive mining or destructive illegal logging can, you might say destroyed environment. And again, it should not only be for the benefit of those who are in charge of the logging or mining. No? So the collective good and the patrimony, that means the inheritance of all humanity and also our responsibility. Okay, so that was the second part. The environment is a gift for everyone, not only for a few. The third statement, human beings exercise a responsible stewardship over nature. And this again, Caritas in Veritate of Pope Benedict. But then, as stewards, we are caretakers of the environment. And the covenant between Yahweh and Noah in Genesis chapter 9 also is with the environment. If you look at chapter 9, it's the story of the great flood and how Noah and his family in the ark was able to be saved. And after the great flood, when the flood subsided and they were able to get out of the ark, you had Noah entering into this covenant with Yahweh. And Yahweh points to the rainbow, and the rainbow, he says, is the sign of my covenant with you and the earth, that henceforth the earth will no longer be destroyed by me again. So it's a good reminder that our covenant is not only with Yahweh, but also with nature itself, with the earth. That the environment is the sign of the rainbow is a reminder of that covenant between Yahweh and Noah. Our dominion over the universe should be understood more properly in the sense of responsible stewardship. Again, one of the speakers in our Malay Balay retreat was saying that actually Pope Francis in his letter has mentioned stewardship only about 2 times. But more often, the term care is used. Because when you say we're not only stewards, but we should have care for our common home or care for the environment, it connotes that we are also very much part of the environment. As stewards, you can still visualize as a steward someone outside of the environment. But when you care for someone, like a mother caring for her sick child, you are also, you might say, even emotionally involved. That the person has to be cured, or that the earth itself has to be cured. So that term care for our common home is important. That for Pope Francis, and maybe for our understanding now, we're not only called to be stewards from outside, but also to be caretakers, caregivers, to be careful of our own environment. Access to safe drinkable water is a basic and universal human right, since it is essential to human survival, and as such is a condition for the exercise of other human rights. So again, that's the idea of safe water now. And Cagayan, we have an issue on the water now. Pero missing down yung person that is supposed to fix it. But anyway, the idea here of safe drinkable water is a basic and universal human right. So we also say now the right to food itself, the right to safe water, the right to a healthy environment. Before we talk on of human rights as right to life, right to association, right to religion, but here the focus again is the right to a healthy environment. So that is the third statement, stewardship, but stewardship now qualified as being caregivers, also being full of care for the earth. Ang fourth statement, again, is from Caritas in Veritate, but even also expanded by Laudato Si. Projects for integral human development need to be marked by solidarity and intergenerational justice. So sometimes it's now called the need for integral human ecology. The idea that holistic, we talk not only of one or two aspects, but the whole human, integral human ecology. And it's marked by solidarity, the sense of being together as one human community, also in solidarity with creation itself. And intergenerational justice, again, this is important notion, the idea of sustainable development. Our present generation should not be allowed to use up all the resources or most of the resources that will deprive future generations from the benefits of those resources. So in other words, we have to talk about renewable resources. We do not talk only of extracting, depriving others of the resources that they may also need. So the environment is one of those goods that cannot be adequately safeguarded or promoted simply by market forces. Again, this is one theme that is also mentioned in Laudate Domini, or Laudate Deum, that Pope Francis says our world leaders today should not only look on climate change simply in terms of efficiency or simply in terms of market forces. Because from the one hand, fossil fuel is profitable for companies that produce and market the fossil fuel. But on the other hand, from a long-term point of view, it is also destructive of the environment. In fact, again, Laudato Deum, together with, you might say, COP, the latest COP, the Conference of Partners on Development, would say no more to fossil fuel. Even if we are still dependent on fossil fuel now, this is the time to move away from fossil fuel. So there are more, in other countries now, there are more use of electric cars. Wala nang tinaglan sa gasolina. And also no more coal-fired power plants, because that also produces a lot of carbon that increases the global warming. So again, it's contradictory. In the Philippines, we are still trying to put up more coal-fired carbon power plants. No? But other countries are already moving away from it. And then the alternative is really more solar power, which is now being widely propagated. But also, aside from solar power, you have wind power, more maybe windmills. And a third kind of technology that is still trying to be generated would be the accessing the waves. We are all surrounded by sea waves, and the power that can be gotten from that can also produce energy for a lot of our needs. So intergenerational solidarity is not optional, rather a basic question of justice, since the world we have received also belongs to those who will follow us. So from one generation to the next, we should be able to preserve the environment for them, or to make sure that they are regenerative. So this is another aspect, gradual, cumulative, adverse effects from environmental degradation. You also have the loss of biodiversity, extinction of wildlife species, and social erosion. Again, in Laudate Deum, it mentions here that we do not immediately experience this because it might be very slow in taking place. But it can also be a process that leads to irreversible damage. That there is a certain point when it becomes irreversible, like loss of biodiversity. loss of a species is irreversible. You cannot regenerate the species anymore. Extinction of wildlife species, and also the idea of social erosion. So these are irreversible damages affecting future generations, which is contrary to that idea of intergenerational justice. Okay, Laudato Si. A true ecological approach always becomes a social approach. It must integrate questions of justice in debates on the environment so as to hear both the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor. Maybe one positive example na nahitabo sa Ipil Diocese. About 2-3 years ago, si Mr. Dodoy Balyon, he's a small fisherman. Yatagan man siya sa Ramon Magsaysay Award Foundation. And it was in recognition for his work in leading his community along the riverside in mangrove reforestation, mangrove growing. Kaya before that, according to his own story, the fishermen, kaya nawala ng mga mangrove dito, may cut and sell, the fishermen had to go further away from the shoreline, 1 or 2 kilometers beyond, to catch their normal catch of fish. And it was even, despite the long hours outside, they caught less fish than before. Pero once they agreed on you might say, growing the mangrove again, after a few years, they realized that there's a lot more fish in their area. They didn't even have to go out beyond anymore. So that's an example of that idea that you listen to the cry of the earth, but also the cry of the poor. You're helping yourselves as a poor community to benefit from the bounty of the earth simply by growing mangrove. In other places, this is what they're called now the loss of diversity. We have to be rewilding the environment. To rewilding means go back to the wild situation of biodiversity. And that again is a call for some. Now, after they realize that monoculture is not good for, you might say, even for the produce, they have to grow into intercropping, or also to respect the biodiversity that is already there. So a true ecological approach becomes a social approach. And that's the idea of integral human ecology. Ecology means the relationship between humankind and the environment, but also the relationship of human beings to each other. And that we can heal the relationship with the environment together with our relationship with one another. And in fact, that is part of the paradox, or you might say the vicious cycle, that because people are poor, like what was happening sa Marikina watershed area. There was a project there of our Climate Change Congress before to also have some reforestation of the area, sa Marikina, because Marikina also experienced, Marikina City experienced overflooding even before Typhoon Yolanda or Typhoon Sento. So the idea was to reforest the watershed area, but without alternative employment given to the people who were actually living there. Some of them started cutting down the newly growing trees, again for charcoal, because that was their only way of livelihood. So if you do not address the cry of the poor, the cry of the earth will also not be addressed. One example also is this is the stories, Jumto Society, the Society of the Monks, Reverend Ponyon Suning, who has been putting up classrooms here in remote areas of Bukidnon and some parts of Misamis Oriental and Agusan. They also have a project in Bangladesh among the Rohingya refugees coming from Myanmar. And there are about 1 million refugees now on the side of Bangladesh coming from Myanmar. But then, again, the forests in the area where the Rohingya refugees were located were being cut down for firewood. So eventually, this Buddhist society realized that that will also endanger the whole community there kung wala na silang firewood and wala nang watershed protection. So they decided to donate, instead of mga blankets or food, gas stoves, so that all of these now mga families will use gas stoves instead of having to cut down the firewood that was needed. So that was trying to, again, protect the environment, but also to give, you might say, a necessary means of livelihood or support for the refugee family. So again, cry of the earth and cry of the poor have to come together. Dito lang sa upland area ng Cagayan de Oro, you have the same challenge. People find si Miss Ann Denuyo was telling us na nalistan siya usahay atubang sa mga maguma kay they prefer to do mining instead of entering into yung propaganda process niya to grow sustainable crops, because it's easy money to just go mining, but then it destroys the environment, and once and people are no longer used to hard work in agriculture. So that's the reverse of not hearing really the cry of the earth and also the cry of the poor. The right to a safe and healthy natural environment. Again, this is now a right that has come to our consciousness. In the past, nobody talks about the right to an environment, but now this is part, or you might say, the social teachings of the church. And in fact, one landmark, Philippine Supreme Court's landmark decision regarding the right of children to enjoy the fruits of an unspoiled environment. So there was a decision of the Supreme Court acknowledging that, I think the attorney involved was Attorney Tony Oposa. But it became a landmark decision that is now being done by other countries also, to precisely to defend the rights of the next generation to, you might say, a healthy environment. So we mentioned this, the search for alternative sources of energy, again, versus the greenhouse effect of global warming. So solar energy is certainly one, and in today we tried it, parts of the Bishop's House and the cathedral has solar panels. But one diocese, the Diocese of Maasi, the bishop there has decreed that all the parish churches should have solar panels. So it became a model for other churches and even other countries. You can actually do this on a large scale. And the idea now of solar energy is something that is becoming more common. It's not unusual, and also the technology is becoming less expensive. So it can actually, in other words, it becomes even more profitable, that you don't have to spend for electricity if you have your own source of solar energy. So again, as I see, intergenerational solidarity is not optional, rather a basic question of justice. Is the world we have received belongs to those who will follow on. I think this was mentioned earlier in this presentation already, no? But again, the idea of intergenerational, from one generation to the next. The fifth point that we can focus on is the church itself, or churches, have a responsibility towards creation and integral human development. And the idea that human ecology for environmental ecology. So social justice issues among ourselves is also part of the environmental ecology. And again, starting from respect for human dignity and also the need for the overall moral tenor of society. I remember before there was one delegate of the Philippines that came from the Rio de Janeiro Summit on the Environment. This was in the 1990s. And that was the beginning of, you might say, a worldwide consciousness that something has to be done about the environment. So there in Rio, according to this participant, there was consensus that we have to do something about climate change already. And they said we have to put down in writing precisely what is right and wrong. But then some of the delegates who were representatives of our country said, we are not religious or moral leaders. We cannot say something on morality. So for them it's purely technical, purely technological. You cannot talk about what is right or wrong, morally speaking. But that's precisely where the churches have to come in. The church has the responsibility towards creation and integral human development. In fact, I think some theologians now are saying that the church should move into saying that destruction of the environment is a sin. It's not something that is just technologically not wise, but it is sinful. And I think that is part also of the message that maybe Laudato Si is trying to bring out now. That there is a moral dimension to care for the environment. It's not simply left to the paradigm of technological progress. And that's part of the Laudate Deum emphasis now that we have to move away from the paradigm of just technological progress, which is unlimited. But there is a limit precisely to what technology can do. And this is where moral and religious leaders have to, you might say, be more vocal in saying that this is God's creation, environment has to be protected, and it is for the common good, and it is for the good of human dignity to have that. So the overall moral tenor of society also has to be there. Again, monk would say, if you take care of the environment will take care of you. Take care of nature, nature will take care of you. But if that is not done, then we have a problem. The book of nature is one and indivisible. It takes in not only the environment, but also life itself, sexuality, marriage, the family, social relations.
For a few seconds from now and every day at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
But something that we concerned with the common good, concerned for the cry of the poor, also have to attend to. Again, here it is clearly inconsistent to combat trafficking in endangered species while remaining completely indifferent to human trafficking. So, Pope Francis puts these two in. In other words, these are all common concerns. Trafficking against endangered species, but we should also be much concerned about human trafficking. And the idea again that human beings are still, you might say, important also vis-a-vis the environment. Okay, providing for the future. The disappearance of a culture can be just as serious or even more serious than the disappearance of a species of plant or animal. So again, taking care also of human culture or the diversity of human culture is also part of the calling of the church. Again, the way humanity treats the environment influences the way it treats itself and vice versa. So if you look on the environment simply as another object to control, maybe that's also how we look at other sectors of human society, that they can also be simply controlled. And again, a call for new lifestyles versus, you might say, what Pope Francis called a throw-away culture. That modern man usually throws away only empty bottles or any kind of excess food. But in fact, now the other positive alternative is really what they call circular economy. That nothing is wasted. Whatever is produced and maybe no longer needed can be recycled to be again used. So a circular economy for a number of, you might say, business groups now is also part of the challenge. That we do not waste or throw away simply byproducts of our production. So new lifestyles and also culture and nature are closely linked. So our culture today, even using dependent on technology, should also be mindful of care for nature and also care for other sectors of society. Okay, we have a World Environment Day. I think April 22 ba yan? Or someplace. Kano sa ba? June 5. Oh, kuha na. Magula na yan. But I think April 22 also. Earth Day. So that's still different from this?
Yes.
World Environment Day. And October 16 naman is World Food Day. That's the FAO naman. So anyway, several events. What's that? Earth Hour? Last Saturday. March. Okay, so yeah. Yeah, that's one thing that can easily be done by local groups. Care for nature is part of a lifestyle which includes the capacity for living together and communion. So again, yeah, it's a lifestyle not only care for nature but also living together and communion. Again, Laudato Si, a sense of deep communion with the rest of nature cannot be real if our hearts lack tenderness, compassion, and concern for fellow human beings. So, again, talks about integral human ecology, that also for nature and for fellow human beings. Okay, so this is a summary. We said on the first one, the environment itself is God's gift to all of us. Gasto sa Diyos. It is a collective good for everyone, not only for a few. And on our side, we're going to be responsible stewards of God's creation, and we are asked to care for the earth, care for our common home. And fourth, intergenerational justice is a key moral principle. And we have to be mindful of the next generation. And finally, the church itself espouses integral human development. So again, cry of the earth and cry of the poor. And these are some references, Compendium of the Social Doctrine, Pope Benedict, also Pope Francis, and you can add there Laudato Dei, which is also a follow-up of Laudato Si. Okay, so that is part of it. That's in my comments come up. If you have comments or questions, we will leave it up to Marjorie.
Thank you very much, Bishop. Can we give Bishop Tony a very loud round of applause? Yeah.